And now we're going to have our last panel section. So the topic of this session is about women entrepreneurship, and the discussion will be about the successes, the challenges, and how to overcome them. Now I'm going to invite to the stage the following panelists. So Rana, you met her yesterday. She's the founder and CEO of Chemaitelly Engineer. She's coming from Lebanon. And then we have Houda Chakiri. She's the CEO and General Manager of Enhanced Technologies. She's from Morocco. And then followed by Rama Chakiri. She's the Executive Director of TechWadi. She's coming from the United States. And Racha Ghamlouch from ArabNET. She's the Senior Program Manager over there. Back in Lebanon as well. And the session is going to be moderated by Nidal. She's the Vice President of the Women in Computing Conference, Algeria chapter. So please join me welcoming them to the stage. You will need this mic too.
Thank you so much.
Do you have another one?
I think we do need another.
L'autre côté.
Oh no.
Is this working? Okay, perfect. Okay, so start by introducing myself. My name is Nidal. I am a CS student / a social aspiring entrepreneur. I couldn't be more honored to having the opportunity of sitting at this great panel of successful Arab women entrepreneurs. And so I'd like to extend the invitation to my audience to welcome my panelists. So give a round of applause for our panelists. Come on, you can do better. Thank you. So how about we just start by asking you to briefly introduce us, introduce yourselves, what's your backgrounds, and what's your company or venture is about.
First, I'd also like to congratulate the people that are here, because just by, I think we've talked about this a lot, but just by taking the step to attend things that are not within the day-to-day activities that you're supposed to do, and going to conferences and activities, you've already taken that step to taking the lead on your path. So congratulations to everyone in the audience. My name is Racha Ghamlouch. I'm Senior Program Manager at ArabNET. ArabNET is the leading tech conference in the Middle East and North Africa. It started 7 years ago, and I manage programming and entrepreneurship programs that ArabNET runs more broadly.
Hi, bonjour tout le monde. I'm Houda Chakiri. I came all the way from Ifrane, it's a small city in Morocco. I have a company that I started in 2005. We develop web application for local communities, which is the collectivité locale in Morocco.
Hi, my name is Rama. I'm a computer engineer. I've worked in the field for the past 28 years. I'm originally Syrian, but grew up in the States and Saudi Arabia. And I'm a serial entrepreneur. I've had several startups. I've also invested in a number of startups, and now I'm running TechWadi.
Hello again, my name is Rana. You heard the story yesterday, but for those who were not here, I'm a mechanical engineer, and I have engineering management as a master's degree, and I'm an entrepreneur since 1997.
Thank you so much. So trying to do things a little bit differently, I'm gonna go ahead and just ask a couple of fun questions, and you could just answer in a one word or one phrase. So my first question is describe, outline your typical day in one phrase. If you can do that. If you one phrase, yes.
Running all day.
Okay, perfect.
Hectic.
I guess pretty busy in work and out of work. It's just busy.
Sounds about right. What's your biggest fear? Now we're getting to the scary questions.
It's not making a difference, sufficiently making a difference. There's so much demand out there to have a positive impact on people's lives who desperately need our support. And my biggest fear is to find myself at age 70 or 80 or even before that, dying without having made a difference enough.
Does anyone want to? Your biggest fear?
The biggest fear?
Mm-hmm.
To be dislocated from our country.
Okay.
I'm not afraid of anything. Not have any fears.
All good. Good for you.
I'm not sure really, like,
Loads of jobs.
yeah, like just losing hope, losing contact with your dream. I think that's a bit of a feeling, discouraged or something like that.
So, what about a book that has inspired you to be the person you are today? Or has it been a while since you?
So I'll start with my book. There's a book that was published in 1973. It's called Small is Beautiful. It's a theory of economics.
Okay.
That's a book that I would recommend for everyone to read.
Nice. Awesome.
There is a book that inspired me a lot. It was written by Fatima Mernissi. She is a Moroccan feminist. She passed away a few months ago. And it's called Rêve de Femme. In English, it's Sherazade Goes West. It talks about the West, Caribbean West.
All right. How about if you could meet someone, any character from, a historical or political, whatever character, who would that be? Of course. Elsa from Frozen?
No, but like
That would be mine.
more like Peter Pan because he never grew up. That was definitely someone I'd rather be, someone who never grows up.
All right.
The cartoon character?
Sure, that could be a cartoon character.
I don't remember.
Sindibad.
Okay, fair enough. All right, so now we could proceed to the more serious questions. And I'm gonna start with what was the motive that got each and every one of you into the entrepreneurship world, and what was the situation, the circumstances? Was it stressful, encouraging? How was it for you?
So I leaped from being in a telecommunications company in the States to my first enterprise, and it was seizing an opportunity. We were approached by one of our directors who said, I want to take a few of you and set up a new business in implementing data centers. And it was a new business at the time. There weren't a lot of people in the field, and I felt it would be a great opportunity for me to learn a lot in different areas. And that's where I went from technical to being more in product development and marketing.
Something that pushed me to be an entrepreneur. Circumstances, because my project was firstly funded by an international organization, and it succeeded. But also, I was inspired by my grandma. She was a farmer, and she was by herself. She was alone, and she was by herself selling the fruits of her garden. And was taking care of us because my mother was a nurse and she was full-time working. So my role model was my grandma.
I guess when I started my first business in 1997, it was, as a response to my ex-boss who was not willing to understand that you have to move forward in technology and to implement new ideas. So he was like 60 when I was 24 and 25, and he was resistant to the change. So he was a little bit, no, I don't have to do that, I risk, and what if, and what else? And I said, okay, I can do it on my own. So it was really the resistance to, grabbing opportunities that took me to take this decision. And my dad is an entrepreneur, and I had the great support of my dad, who helped me a lot in starting my own career.
And I'm sorry, if you could tell us a bit more about your the projects you managed, the little engineer that you talked about yesterday, because you have.
So it was not the little engineer. The first one was digital photography, and it was established in 1997. I used to work previously at a person who was supplying the market with photo finishing equipment, and I was attending many conferences, and I felt that the technology was changing from the regular photo finishing equipment to the digital imaging. And I was keen to introduce this to the market, and I said, since he was resistant, I moved from the sales and after-sales service of photo finishing equipment to a service provider in the market. So I bought the machines on my own, and I learned about Photoshop. I learned about what's behind, this technology, how it's done, why it's done this way. And I launched the business in Lebanon, providing the service and not the sales and after-sales anymore. So this is how I started, but I had to invest in myself to learn more about the artistic side of managing images and pictures and everything, so I can compete in the market. I was not competing with anyone since the technology was, the market was virgin, and I was the only one playing in this field in 1997.
And could you tell us a bit more about the little engineer, since we have...
The little engineer, the second business was in 2009, established in 2009. It's an after-school activity center for young minds to engage them into science, technology, engineering, and mathematics through proven hands-on learning activity. So it's not theory anymore, it's all activities where they can experiment, robotics, coding, renewable energy, nanotechnology very soon, and many other topics related to the high-tech.
Quite impressive, very brilliant. Other than wanting to be the boss of yourself, what are the aims or the goals that you wanted to be an entrepreneur for? Because women tend to be wanting to be financially independent, liberated from the societal constraints and all. So these tend to be the reasons women aspire to be entrepreneurs for. I was just wondering if it was the same case for you, or was there any other reasons?
So for me, I was living in the UAE. This is the phase 2 of entrepreneurship. I was living in the UAE and working with a startup in the fintechnology sector. But on my free time, I would volunteer with nonprofits and realized that while there was some attention to social issues, there were mounting challenges that were not being addressed, environmental and social. And back then, the Iraq war had just broke out, and I went to visit in the north and saw how desperate the nonprofits are in Iraq, and then started seeing the same thing in Palestine and Syria pre-war. And because I had an entrepreneurial background, wanted to address it in a way that is not through an NGO. So I researched it and found that there was this emerging field of social entrepreneurship, and then left the company I was working with and set up a company to invest in social enterprise. And from there on, just took that journey.
Does Houda want to answer that?
Can you speak?
Sure. Yeah, of course. What do you deem being the key element to your success? The key element to your success as an entrepreneur?
I'm not really an entrepreneur, but I joined ArabNET very early on. It did happen by coincidence. I didn't apply for the job, but they found out that I moved to Lebanon, and I had already attended the conferences, and I'm probably the oldest team member at the moment, so a bit of the founding people that started the company. And I think it's setting your bar, like punching above your waistline. So setting your bar really high in a place where you actually probably can't reach, but always having higher aspirations than you can. This way you're always challenging yourself. And that's something a lot of people try to stay in their comfort zone. I think we talked about that a lot today, but a lot of the times when we went out to meet, whether it's international companies or leading companies in the Middle East, and then they see this bunch of kids walking, basically. Like, our CEO was 5 years younger, 5 years ago, and he was 25. So when we walk into the room, like, we're kids. And they'd look at us and say, we were at the conference like 2 weeks ago. It's not possible that you guys did this. And it's sleepless nights, lots of work, and lots of belief in what we wanted to do. Because if you don't believe in what you want to do, it's not going to happen. If you don't believe in yourself, why would anyone believe in you anyway? So it really starts with how
Determination.
passionate about what you like.
Of course, and passion.
And being geeky about it. In practice.
Sure. How about the most important decision you made along your career, and the reason you believe you reached what you reached today because of?
Stubbornness. I'm a stubborn person.
That's a good quality over there.
I worked a lot on my communication skills because I think this is a problem also in Algeria. Our educational system does not educate on communication. We do not know how to market ourselves. So I did a lot of work on marketing myself and support of family also. Support of my family, I mean my parents, my brother and sister, but also my husband, who is very supportive.
I think it's also understanding how you measure your own success and having your own measurements, not always applying external measurements. Especially for me as a social entrepreneur, and in that realm, social enterprise is measured by your impact, not only by the amount of money that you make. And so you have to apply different measurements, and most of them are what your target customers deem is a success of your business for them.
I believe as entrepreneurs, they are characterized by their vision, and they always have to follow their inner voice. So when we see something as entrepreneur, we are not always right, but we have this determination on saying, yes, we can do it, and I see it positive, and I want to do it. So measuring success is setting goals and working not alone, but reflecting this on your team so you can fulfill the success. So I guess teamwork is very important for success.
And did you meet along the way any setbacks, failures, challenges, and how did you overcome that?
Every day we have failures. Every day. So they are the push for success. So we don't have to say, oh, we failed. No. So every day you have new story, new blogs in your way. So, but this is, you have to manage them. You cannot stay, oh, I did it and failed, and I have to stagnate in a place. So I love failure.
What's your advice on how to manage?
Always have that positive attitude, always have the positive spirit, and you can overcome everything.
Surround yourself.
Yeah, positive attitude is the most important thing to handle, the failure and constraints in everyday life.
Mm-hmm.
I think having good mentors is really important.
Very.
So just identifying a group of people that complement your skills, that have more experience than you, and that are interested in your line of business.
Right. I agree.
I think keeping calm and knowing how to
taking yoga
calm
classes,
down
for instance.
when there are tensions. Yeah.
Definitely.
Well, event business is difficult, and I think you guys are doing a great job for your first event, but people don't realize, and most of the time, and I'm proud of the team that works on ArabNET. It's not me alone, but people come to our event and don't ever realized this, the small problems, there's at least 30 problems that arise every single event and nobody notices. And it's eventually we learned that something will go wrong. It's how we deal with it that makes it a success. Things happen, someone gets sick, they don't catch their flight from the US. Our keynote speaker decides to not show up, and this happens all the time. And it's not something you can control, but it's also having confidence and really believing in yourself and the value that you're creating. And eventually there's no such thing as failure, it's just an experience. It's just, you build what you do.
Awesome. The following question is a two-part question, and it goes, what about the most important things before, the most important things to you before getting into the entrepreneurship world, and did that change along the way? Since we hear a lot about a lot of men and women changing their so when they reach a certain high rank in their position, in the companies or in their careers, they start prioritizing other things over the careers, or vice versa. So, did that ever happen to you? Did you get to the point where you were thinking, this is too much for me, I need to have the work-life balance? And
in the 10 years life of the company,
sure.
I all the time prioritized my collaborators. I spent years not getting paid, but paying the collaborators. It's very important to prioritize people that work with you. I also give a lot of time to my family. I took 1 year and a half maternity leave for my first child, because it was a personal need. Other things that are my priorities is, of course, making the business success, but it's not all the time easy. It's difficult, and you need to know the business ecosystem. You need to know your competitors and how to deal with the daily challenges.
So you do believe that the work-life equation stability is achievable? Yeah, of course. Perfect.
So for me, there were two things. First, that I did value money, having grown up in the US and in the corporate world. Making money defines success, and that was the change when I once was attending a conference in banking, and I was looking at a sea of men in gray and blue suits, and I thought to myself, what am I doing here? This is not the environment that I want to be in. That was defined by financial success, and I moved into a world where it was all about social impact, and that's what defined success. The second part was, I don't really feel we get work-life balance well, and I'm a personal testament to that. I've had 12 surgeries, I've had a failed marriage, I've struggled a lot to give my children the good family life, because it was very hard to see good examples of women who had good work-life balance, especially in the Arab world, where your immediate family is not your only responsibility. Your extended family is your social network. So I crashed and burned repeatedly, thinking that we could do it all. There was no work-life balance. And I've seen a lot of women in the UAE in tears talking about how difficult it is for them to maintain their family life and their work. So I really feel like you have to do sacrifices. There's a time for your children, there's a time for your family, and then there's a time for work. And when my children were younger, I had to give up a lot of opportunities to excel in my career. I had to say no to certain positions and certain jobs. And then now that my children are in college, they barely see me. I mean, we keep in touch,
right.
But now it's my time.
Right.
So I think, a balance is unique for each person, and for a lot of women, you have to make choices and give up certain things.
I can tell one thing, that you cannot get everything.
I was going to say that.
And this is for food. So you have to be selective. What do you want?
You cannot have it both ways.
How do you want it to be? So you can be happy and reflect happiness on people around you. So it's your choice. We cannot get everything, I confirm.
I'm so glad.
And those who do not agree with me, let them come and talk together. I can make open conversations. So, but you have to be self-satisfied and say, yes, I'm happy, and select what you want.
I just came late.
And for every success, there is
Of course,
okay? And you have to accept this.
I
And
personally
keep
just-
the positive moral to keep on going and going and going.
I just personally just came to the realization that you cannot really have it both ways. I mean, it's just impossible, I guess.
I just needed to share something funny with you. Usually I put my children 8 p.m. into bed. And I struggle to do that because they are 6 and 3, and especially in our environment, it's very, very difficult. Few mothers succeed to put their children early at bed. So I did that not because I wanted to respect that lifetime for them, but I needed to have time for me to see, like, just to watch Harry Sultan. Just like, it's not like, it was just like something seen, something that does not need neurons to.
Me time,
Yeah,
that's understandable.
I needed to find some time for me alone. My husband is complaining because I saw the series twice or 3 times. They repeated and I repeated, and he was complaining about me seeing like Turkish soap series. But it was like my satisfaction. So you need to give time for yourself.
I thank you for the clear declaration that even women, that very successful women entrepreneurs are regular women at the end of the day who want to have a me time. Thank you. Houda, you actually touched upon a very important point when you were talking about the importance of self-promotion, the self-marketing. Could you elaborate on that?
As I specified, in our educational system, especially the French educational system, the French educational system is based on heart, knowing by heart,
Right.
on resolving, reading a lot of theory or being expert a lot in theory, mathematical theory, but we don't invest much into communication and into languages. When you're following French educational system, you don't speak much English, you're not exposed. Working on the communication part is very important. I know of a lot of PhD from, I will not talk about Algeria or from Morocco, that when they participate in big international conferences, they have problems in exposing their research papers, though they had a big impact. So this is my advice to all students. Please invest in communication skills, invest in learning the language. English is the language of the future.
Rama, if you could talk more about the importance of self-promotion.
I second what you said, and I think that for me, I went out and I created an online publishing platform to promote my work and the work of the organizations that are in the field, when I realized that traditional media didn't care about the topics that we care about.
Right.
So it's absolutely vital. Every woman in the audience or man should get training, media training on how to speak, present, be brief, and also know your audience and know who you're speaking to.
We as the little engineer were heavily stressed this point because I realized that the students fear to talk about what they're doing. So part of our offering, we teach communication skills. And we start by teaching young minds that if you hear, you might forget. If you see, you might remember. But if you're doing something, you should understand and you should talk, not fear. So as we have seen the Moroccan lady yesterday, she was like 11 years old, and we trained her during the session that you will go online and you will talk, because you will talk what you have done. and she was very confident. So it's a matter of trying to teach them why they need this skill of presenting or talking or doing that. So I always mention this to parents, that we're not only teaching, for example, robotics, renewable energy, but we're teaching the 21st century skill which are must nowadays. So they have to be ready for tomorrow, to communicate, to tell, to say, and not to fear. So once they avoid fearless, they can do anything.
Well, there is this idea of in the society that we inherited that women tend to shy out and to fear that if they're gonna be talking about their achievements, no matter how big and amazing it is, they're gonna be pointed to as braggers. So what do you say? What's you say on that? Maybe
So there's you have to be rooted in your culture and rooted with humility. You have to be very humble as a person. So while you go out and promote yourself or promote your company rather, you have to always couple that with alhamdulillah and be very grateful for your position of where you are, so that you're not replacing company and corporate promotion with self-grandeur. So balancing the two and understanding and separating yourself from the success of people coming up to you and saying, oh wow, you've done this, whatever. Yes, alhamdulillah, I've done this. Stay grounded, but then also know that you're doing it for the company.
Of course, but the thing is, women tend to be like, oh, really think so? Oh, you're not, you're just complimenting me, you know.
Yeah, I mean, you couple it with self-confidence, and I always disassociate. I mean, it's for my business, it's not me personally.
Of course.
And most of my work involves promoting others. It's all about promoting the causes or the businesses that I'm working with.
It's a bit true that women do tend to feel like they undermine their achievements sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes, actually, especially moms, because there's so much investment in their children, and they feel like when their children are doing well, oh, they're doing great. It's like, yes, but there's somebody that led them to this at the end of the day. But there is a general sometimes of the market when a woman speaks out her opinion, and this is something that will change with time when we expose more women into the spotlight and to highlight their opinion. When they say a woman is opinionated, if she really is having a conversation and sharing her opinion about an industry, something that personally happened to me a couple of times where someone was complaining to a coworker that, you know, she's very opinionated. And then really I was just giving my opinion on something in the sector as someone that works in it. And the only way to go around is really, like the ladies have mentioned this very gracefully today, so they can say all they want. I'm not trespassing into anybody's territory, I'm not offending anyone. And as long as I'm saying what I think my opinion is, and I'm very humble about it, and I can say this is my opinion, you're free to disagree, you're free to debate. It's a business conversation. You have to say your opinion, because otherwise no one's gonna hear it, it stays in your head. And that's the way they'll remember you. If they want to remember you as opinionated, that's kind of a reflection of their problem. It's not their problem. But I encourage girls to talk more. Yesterday I was sitting with the ladies on tables and it was almost impossible getting them to ask questions. So ask more questions, say your opinion, be wrong, and then correct that information and just move on with your life.
Would you say that the dysfunctional promotion, like the dysfunctional self-promotion idea that we have is actually the actual problematic, and what we could do?
I mean, we need to encourage our girls to say their opinion more. I grew up in an American system school, and so we had show and tell every Monday morning. And the system kind of encourages children to talk about things, encourages people to talk and express their opinions about things. And it's not the same in all places, but encouraging girls from a very early age to share their opinion and to learn how to talk and how to share their opinion and how to accept feedback and how to reiterate their opinion and develop is very important. And this goes back to communication skills. Listening is a communication skill. Not every time somebody opposes your opinion, they're opposing you personally. It's just an opinion. And detaching, learning how to distinguish between personal and conversation and business conversations is something we need to learn. And just, learning is very important.
I would like just to point out that being shy does not prevent you from succeeding. I'm a very shy person. I turn red when I'm talking in public. I'm not like an extrovert type of person. I'm very introvert, and I answer when someone talks to me. And I don't consider myself also as a very successful person. I have my feet down to earth, but I have ambition. I'm ambitious. It does not prevent me to be shy. I'm a very shy person.
But to succeed, you have to communicate yourself. You have to tell people what you're doing and how you're doing it and why you're doing that. So I guess they are connected, and you don't.
So making noise about your team.
You have to make noise, okay? So at the beginning, when we launched, let's say, the Little Engineer, people were saying we were crazy and what is she doing. So I had to go knock the door, TV station, to communicate ourselves, to tell, okay, we're changing the word, listen. And then people are following you. So communication is very important to reach the goal. You cannot stay ahead and say, I will do it. No. So you cannot be shy.
I think in addition to being shy, a lot of people don't understand what it takes.
Exactly.
So we work with media coaches, and the coaches would say, you have to practice saying something 250 times. 250 times before you're ready to say it in public. And I think that most people overlook that and think it's like magic. The minute I write something, I can look up and say it confidently in front of anyone. And that's not the case. So with practice, you can practice the way that you present yourself, so that you can combine the right kind of humility, haya, the traditional one, with the way to present it that is suitable for your business.
So do you think that providing mentorship and guidance to girls in the early ages of their studies in school would help raise the numbers of women going to diving in the entrepreneurship field afterwards, or?
Definitely, yeah. Mentorship at an early age,
really important.
but also our classrooms need to switch. I mean, I grew up in a classroom where the teacher is always standing and the students are always sitting, and that needs to change. The students need to stand up and speak, and the teacher needs to facilitate and listen.
I would like to mention that not only entrepreneurs has to do that, but I noticed that in many companies, CEO are trained to speak, because the CEO is not an entrepreneur, he's someone who is managing, speaking, but sometimes they feel, when they have to speak in public or anything, so they are mentored. So it's not bad to ask for mentorship, because we are not born equally, we are not born, everyone has a skill. So I advise everyone who wants to grow to accept that, yes, I should be mentored, yes, I should be coached, and I have to accept the criticism. So at the beginning, we don't do it perfectly. So if someone say, oh, you were doing that, so we have to accept and try to improve, because if you want to succeed, you will be in public and you have to say it.
And so if we wanted to narrow or focus on the technical related entrepreneurship, what are the reasons that are, and that's the thing we were talking about earlier at lunch, what do you think is the reason that is holding girls and women to dive in the entrepreneurship, the more technical related entrepreneurship field? Like when you go to whatever, like you get closer to the robotics, electronic companies, entrepreneurship things, it's always male dominant.
And I think a lot of women don't spend time imagining what a workplace could look like that can combine their personal interests and technology. When you go to a Google campus or you go to some of these other organizations that have succeeded, it's like a playground. Yes, there's a lot of serious work being had, but there's also a social life there. There are cameras to play with. There
I heard they have
sleeping
slides to
rooms.
travel from the department to another.
Right, they
That
have
must be
game
fun.
rooms, they've got PlayStations and everything you can imagine that is fun and entertaining. I even saw this really funny concoction, which was a meeting bicycle. It's a bicycle with 5 seats that people sit on, and then I don't know how it manages to go forward.
I think
but
it generates electricity
maybe it does.
too.
Yeah, but so I think with women, they think of technology-driven companies as very sterile and not engaging, and that there's no room for them to bring in their creativity and their vision of what they want to do in life. So it's an either or track, and that's again a function of our education system.
Right.
Adabi, ilmi, and you go into ilmi and you think you're going into the sterile world.
Very true.
So I think to really venture out and see how many creative technology companies there are out there that are doing wonderful things. If you see Little Bits and Ayabir and you see how feminine she is and the type of things she's working on, from wearable technologies to, you'll see that there are lots of women who've combined both, and there are organizations that have both. And that's when you start dreaming of that and creating it. Like I was telling you, you should be the first person to create a company in Jazair that's like Google, that has that fun environment, and then other people will follow.
No, I believe that ladies are not feeling, to approach being entrepreneur.
Not at all. Not at all.
They're not feeling, but I guess the environment, they need more mentorship and more ecosystem to push them more into that mentorship, coaching. They will help them to
So a lot of focus on mentorship.
But let me consider my case. For example, I was graduated from the mechanical engineering in 1993. I invested myself to take electronics and to be ready for a combo of electromechanical. But nowadays we have many things that are ahead of what I know. So I don't have to fear and say I cannot do it. I can outsource. I can guide, I can supervise, but they will do the job. So I guess we shouldn't fear anything. Just take it from the wide angle and see how can we manage it. And you can step ahead. But I guess the environment and ecosystem is very important for women to go into this. And we have to be role models to them. You did it, you can do it, come on. What do we need help? Ask. So I guess creating this ecosystem, I thank ArabWIC for doing that network, because we can support each other.
So this brings us back to the importance of being vocal about your achievements.
Being vocal, but also having a space. I mean, I don't know what it's like in Algeria, but do you have incubators or accelerators?
There are very few.
Yeah.
And I don't think they're very technical oriented.
So maybe this is an opportunity for the women here to create a business incubator or accelerator. I see you saying, Wafa, you have one?
Never.
But I guess this is the opportunity to do that and create that kind of a physical space that draws in people and it's a creative place.
All right. So if each and every one of you could give 3 pieces of advice to women to convince them with the importance of getting into the entrepreneurship and more particularly the technical oriented one, what could that be?
It's hard work and hard work. It's not about technology, it's hard work.
Okay, fair enough. I think there's a lot of, I would look back and see that actually there's so much great women in our history and all over the world, whether it's the women that have invented the computer or the internet. And most of the time the men have managed to overshadow that, but even in the Arab culture, there's been women poets and women leaders, and really those that ran the households. In most of the Arab cultures where the men used to go out to sea, these were the leaders of the societies. They ran the so many things, and they did it in such difficult times where there was no internet. They were not checking on their children with a camera in the daycare, and life is so much easier now, and you can do it. So
If someone could do it, why not me?
I mean, it's being done for the past millions of years, and so it'll continue to do so. So jump on the train because others will.
All right.
I think timing is key. So you have to be well timed with the market when you come up with an idea. And then it has to be well timed for you, that you're ready to do the work. So don't be pushed just because of someone else thinking that it's the right idea for you. And then the last thing is invest your time, but make sure you get partners who invest their money. Don't try and do everything alone. Get partners who invest money, other partners who may help you with other technologies, but don't attempt to do everything alone.
I can advise to every woman to invest in herself and don't wait for help. Let her help herself. Google, find, ask, and this is how she can. So don't wait for someone to come. Habibti, what do you want? No, you go ask. Today we are here. You have our contacts. So if you need anything, you can ask Sana, you can ask Rama, you can ask me, and we're here to support.
But that's the
We
point.
took from others, we have to pay back. And please, everyone has to pay back. And those people who have reached, so with pleasure, we have to help each other.
Definitely. Ladies, that was quite the interesting talk. Thank you very much. And I think we could open it up for the Q&As if anyone has a question for our panelists. Sure?
My question is for Houda. I think you mentioned that for a few years you didn't pay yourself, and that just, I mean, it intrigued me a lot, and I just like to know how you did that, and how did you survive for a few years if you weren't paying yourself?
Yeah, I survived. I was like, I have a very supportive husband and supportive parents, so I didn't pay myself. It did not mean that I didn't have what to eat. I had the people, I mean, women or men that graduated the same year as me are now touching my, you know, des sommes inimaginables, c'est-à-dire des salaires de fou. I'm still getting paid less than my peers, but I'm surviving with that. It's not for me, money is not the success, it's making the change. I was very offended in a local community when I went and asked for my birth certificate. And it took like 2 days. And I wanted to make the change. I said, okay, I have the technology and I have the willingness, I will change that. And 10 years later, it started to change. I mean, we are changing. We are now with 3 million citizens report digitized. We are on more than 30 cities in Morocco, and we want to scale it up to the whole Morocco and also African countries. So it was never about money. It was about self-satisfaction. Yeah.
All right, do you have any more questions? Anyone? Yes.
Yes, I just want to congratulate the panel for the amazing speech and insightful panel. I just wanted to tell you as well that we have incubators in Algeria in the 4 main cities. We have one in Algeria, in Oran, there is one in Annaba and another one in Wargla, and there's a project to build incubators in every wilaya. Wilaya is like a state or a department in the state. So I just wanted to answer your question. Thank you.
I would like to mention that my company was created in an incubator.
just wanted to add to what Wafa just said. There's also a program by Uridu, the mobile carrier that just launched a few years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, in the first private incubator. As of now, the government has been very, how to say that, not very. No, that's not the word that I'm looking for. They're very wary to give license to other people to open their own incubators. Just a few months ago, we were working on opening a co-working space, and we wanted, as a part of the co-working space, to have the option to incubate companies. So we looked for the code in the company's law to be able to do that. They said that, okay, as of now, the government is very wary to give these licenses to about anyone who's looking to open those incubators. So it's restricted to the government itself, who's been doing, fair job in opening several incubators in multiple cities, and those big companies such as that mobile carrier. That's it.
You need to know one thing. No government in the world gives money to people to launch their businesses. The government's mission is to prepare the ecosystem, to set regulations that help businesses to prosper, not to give money. So most of the entrepreneurs lack of funds, but we should not look for funds in the government with the government money. No, funds come from angel investors, from your business if it is successful, but never from the government. The government do regulations.
If you look at the countries that are more advanced in the tech sector, whether it's in Dubai or Saudi or even in Lebanon, the government is still, there's no really regulations in Dubai that are super supportive of entrepreneurship. Co-working spaces, recently they're doing some sort of loopholes in the law to create co-working spaces because visas are very difficult. Lebanon, they spent one of the first co-working spaces, which was Alt City, they spent 2 years negotiating with the central bank to create some sort of loophole to find somewhere to create a co-working space. Don't wait for the government. Nobody cares. Governments will never be as fast as the private sector to support entrepreneurs. If you're going to wait for the government to provide any sort of support for you, good luck. Not even the US regulations are as at the standard of what startups need to support them. So real innovation happens regardless of what the regulators do. Go ahead, get an apartment, get a bunch of friends, put some desks and call it a co-working space.
Just to clarify, we did open the co-working space.
Okay.
It's only the incubator part of it that we did not.
You don't need to have a regulator, incubator title.
I understand that was not what I was trying to say. Just
what I'm saying is just ignore the government. And I'm not saying that in a bad way. I'm not saying it in a bad way, but don't look at regulations as a landmark for where you can be. Regulations are there just because they're there, and just move on.
Point taken.
So hopefully next time you host a conference, it would be wonderful to see more of the Algerian entrepreneurs. Maybe a recommendation to Arab Women in Computing to have pitches and to have us sit in the audience and listen and engage, and possibly even have it at one of your co-working spaces or universities. I personally would love to learn more about what's happening.
I think that's a great idea. Yeah, definitely advice that we have to take with us. Do you have any more questions? No? All right. Thank you, ladies. Big round of applause. And for the next 15 minutes, we can take a break. There's snacks.